The long-awaited Origin of the Saiyans Dragon Ball movie is coming out later this year, and today Unreal Entertainment and I are going to be discussing one of the original Saiyans, Yamoshi, a Saiyan who was long thought to be nothing more than a myth up until Goku's first fight with Frieza. What's going on, everybody? SuperSaiyanPaul here, back at it again. We're going to be talking about the Dragon Ball Super movie and Yamoshi in this video, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mason, the animal, the carnage, Unreal Entertainment Gaming.
What an intro, bro. Thank you for having me.
And today we're going to be talking about the new Dragon Ball movie and how it's going to be pertaining to the topic of the origin of the Saiyans and revolving around Yamoshi. So this isn't confirmed or anything, guys. This is just merely discussions, but we do know it's going to take place with some of the things involving the origins of the Saiyans and having the most Saiyans ever in a Dragon Ball movie. We didn't see any confirmations, and we're not going to get any confirmations until around March, with Goku and Vegeta maybe being like the main part of the story or anything like that. But here's just a discussion. And what we're going to be talking about here today is that Yamoshi, going back to way back in the day where he was like the legendary Saiyan that the myths all revolved around, he was a righteous Saiyan, we know that for sure, and that he had 5 comrades that attempted to wipe out the evil of the Saiyan race. And as a Saiyan, he became the original Super Saiyan God, and they started giving out more information as to what he was about and things like this. But do you feel like he's going to be the centerpiece of this movie, Alex?
I think that they introduced Yamoshi for a reason, and I feel like that reason might be for him to be introduced in the upcoming film, because by them, hinting at the origin of the Saiyans, they have to go back to the origin of what made a Super Saiyan God. Shenron was the only one, to our knowledge, that displayed information and gave us information as to who it was. Even though they never mentioned him by name, there was a person that achieved this power long ago, and then all of a sudden he vanished. It's very interesting in the direction in which they want to take this movie in, because we don't really know as to the grounds of what they're going to do. Obviously, we're in February right now, so we're going to be getting more information in March. I just feel like with this film, it's going to be a hit or a miss. I feel like it's going to be a definite hit because of all the people behind the film, Takahashi, and you have all of the lead artists and animators behind the film. Sumitomo's music is going to be spectacular, so I feel like this movie is definitely going to do great. I'm just really curious as to the story, because we don't really know if this is going to take place in the past, in the present, after Super, before Super. By them introducing more Saiyans, it's not a bad concept to even think about, but I feel like with Yamoshi being introduced, it's going to have lots of weight as to what they're going to do with the story, because if Yamoshi ends up being a villain in some way, shape, or form in combating Goku or Vegeta, it's going to be a bit dry, because what can Yamoshi do as a Super Saiyan God against 2 characters that are Super Saiyan Gods and Super Saiyan Blues at that matter, considering if this is after Super, adding in Ultra Instinct and all that good jazz. So I feel like it's going to be interesting. I feel like they're going to learn more, possibly, hopefully, about who the original Super Saiyan God was and what they can carry and what they can get out of that. But even if Yamoshi was introduced, you have to ask yourself as to how much weight is he going to hold in the film. I mean, what can Yamoshi do as a character going into this movie, that can add substance to the film, It's interesting. I just really hope that they do reference him more and they do actually introduce him. If they don't introduce him, I feel as if that would be a huge detriment, because we got the explanation about the S cells, and we got the explanation about who Yamoshi was. And I feel like by diving more into his character in the upcoming film, they need to do that first and foremost to expand on the story. But especially, you can't do a film based on the origins of the Saiyans and not have Yamoshi, the first ever Super Saiyan God, introduced in the film, in my opinion.
About that, like, the original Super Saiyan God being him and his 5 comrades, they said that his power came as quickly as it came, it disappeared. So that's why I'm thinking that in this new movie, yes, they are going to go back to the origins of the Saints, but I feel like it's going to be a very minor part of the movie, and then they're going to fast forward. I feel like that's what they're going to do, because if his power was only that brief, and that they also said that his spirit was wandering until he got into a reincarnation, which they're saying is Goku, that's what I would feel they would do. Just start off with a bit of the origins, show what happened, what was this rebellion about, give us some backstory as to that, and how his Super Saiyan God form looked, what he looked like, all this type of stuff. Because, I mean, back in the Battle of Gods movie, when they showed the depiction of the Super Saiyan God, he looked kind of like Vegeta with the hair. Just, that's what I saw. Like, it looked like Vegeta with the tail.
That was only done based on design at the moment. It wasn't really...
Yeah, it's not final, but... I
It
mean,
was basically an overlay. It looked well. They did say the character itself looks nothing like Vegeta, but it was just a basic overlay as to, okay, well, here's this ominous figure, and we don't know what happened to him afterwards. So, I mean, is Yamoshi, does he look like Vegeta? No, because that contradicts the whole statement. He looks like Vegeta, but then he quote unquote reincarnates into Goku. It makes absolutely no sense.
It's very
why can't
weird.
it just be? Yeah, why can't it just be another Saiyan that happened to have existed, just like Broly and everybody else, Bardock, whatever? And just, he was the first of his kind. Was he the first ever Super Saiyan that Vegeta spoke about in Legend on Planet Namek and stuff? We don't know. But it is, interesting that he was the first ever Super Saiyan God. And with him, I think at this point, in my opinion, he's dead. I mean, it's been, what, thousands of years, perhaps, according to, Shenron's knowledge. If he is alive, that would be very interesting as to what they do, with the whole concept of his spirit and just his body. But I just really hope that at least we go back and we take a look at what happened during the time of him fighting these people, because if they're not going to introduce him meeting Goku and whatever, then at least bring us to the point where we saw what happened back in the day, and at least we have clarity as to what went down during that time.
I think they would make it really, really good if they made him the original Super Saiyan. Something this powerful, the power level of a god that all these legends were created around, that passed on for thousands of years. I believe it's over 1,000 years, into the Dragon Ball Z timeline that we know today. I think that he should have been the original Super Saiyan god, and that should be where all these things came from. And all the hype that Vegeta was talking about for all these years, I think that would make it perfected, in my opinion, because of how badass he was. As quick as that power came, he just lost it, but at the same time, just knowing that there's just this amount of immense power that legends had to keep in that history, that would be really epic to see as the origins of the Saiyans. And I just want to see how that fight went with him and the rebellion against these evil Saiyans, because I have a feeling that he could have just died right there in battle against them, and because the power disappeared, that's what happened. They just got run by the evil Saiyans and stuff.
But do you believe that they're actually going to introduce him in the film, as a character in the flesh, or are we going to have a flashback and going back to the early days of when he fought the Saiyans that he battled against?
All right, they have different ways of approaching this, because the way they've described this, they set it up either the reincarnation thing that might be shown through maybe a Goku flashback, if that is the real case here, or they might just show him in the flesh and showing what his life was like in the origins, and then fast forward a few thousand years later, to where they are now. But I mean, depending on the way this guy looks, going back to that, I mean, he could potentially, that could have been a placeholder with Vegeta's thing, or at the same time, he might end up being an ancestor of one of them. You never know, because they might decide to keep that, just like how Bardock and how Goku's face has been replicated onto different characters like Goten, and even uncanny characters like Turles and stuff like that. You never know if they might just reuse it and make it a good Vegeta.
I just really hope that if he's introduced, we just have clarity as to what happened to him and how strong he really is. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that wonders, hey, how strong is Yamoshi compared to so and so? I feel like that would be very intriguing to see how Yamoshi compares to a current Goku, a current Vegeta, etc. Because during that time, it's he was relevant against the people that he fought against, but it's where does he stand now in comparison? That would be very interesting.
And usually when it comes to timeline things like this, usually it can either go one way or the other, but with Dragon Ball Z, it's actually gone the other. Usually the older generation is usually the stronger generation. These guys are way higher in terms of strength and god tiers, and all these guys are on a different level compared to the newer generation. But in Dragon Ball Z, they did the opposite, because Trunks and Goten, they were taking things to another level with them unlocking Super Saiyan at such a young age, and that the younger generation was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But we never know, maybe back then everybody was just super god tier, and then as time went on, their power levels might have diminished. But I don't think that would be the case, because Frieza was even worried about them getting too strong. So we don't exactly know how that's gonna go, but I'd rather it be like that. This way, the premise of them being a god back then was way more than it is today. This way, it'll probably give more relevancy to the power levels that we've seen in Super and how out of whack it's actually gone, but it would connect a little bit better.
For me, I can't wait to see the film for many reasons. I want to see how the interaction would be with certain characters, if they want to introduce the Universe 6 characters and, bringing about Vegeta meeting the King and all that good jazz, because we don't really know as to the direction right now. But I'm telling you right now, if I really do have high hopes for this film just because I'm very adamant about it. But if this movie turns out to be a flop, then I mean, what more can we do, man? It's the end from there.
I don't really see it being a flop. If the animation's gonna be that good, at least the fighting scenes I think would be enough to justify the movie, at the very least at a baseline of a decent movie. I don't know about story, because I mean, even Resurrection F, some people could say that was a bad story, some people could say that's a really straightforward story. Depending on like the visual scenes of the fighting and maybe a new transformation, if anything, which I'm not entirely sure if that's gonna be featured, that would be enough to justify the movie at like a baseline of good. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I really appreciate you guys giving us your time. Smash that like button, subscribe for more, turn on notifications, check out Alex's channel, link will be in the description, Unreal Entertainment Gaming. We'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care.
Also, make sure to share this video, guys. Make sure to share the video out. And if you guys want to see more discussions from myself and Paul, leave your thoughts down below as to what kind of discussions you guys want to see. We're trying to go back to our roots and featuring more discussions, kind of like going retro style back when we did discussions in 2015 and stuff. So if there's any topic you guys want us to cover, make sure to let us know down in the comment section below. Turn on notifications for Paul's channel, guys. He's so close to 200,000 subscribers, so make sure we get there on time. Hopefully enough we can by the end of the month. So thank you all so much, and I'll let you close it out, Paul.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you all. See you guys next time. Take care. Peace.